Hey, so this is a new episode of Dumb and Dumbest with Matt Bacon and Curtis Dewar. Curtis?
Hello, how's it going?
There we go. There we go. So we're here. We're rocking and rolling. We have a subject of the day. We're ready. It's Monday morning. We're both grinding. As I type this, I'm literally analyzing t-shirt designs because everything is pain. Everything's flooding. It's going to be crazy. So is it raining up by you, Curtis?
Raining? No, it's pretty hot today, actually. But my kids want to keep the fucking air conditioning off for some goddamn reason. They've turned into like these desert animals or something. I don't get it. Jerks.
Point
my
being,
balls off here.
It is very, very rainy.
Yeah, not here. It was there like that yesterday up here.
And I might die. So anyway, what we're going to be digging into today is how a lot of bands didn't make the jump from Facebook to Instagram, and then we're going to kind of turn that into talking about how you as a band can't marry yourself too much to one platform.
Yep.
So initially, what are your thoughts on this, Curtis?
Well, I think it's a problem in general, not just with Instagram, but with Twitter and Google Plus and all the rest of them, YouTube. I think a lot of bands have been told that they need to niche down to one platform, and personally, I think that's bad advice. I mean, there's ways of looking at it, right? Like, I mean, getting good at one platform is a good thing, but if you're not really being consistent across all of them, it's not very good at the same time, you know?
Yeah.
Like having consistent amount of followers or hosts or whatever. I don't think that's a good idea just to stick to one platform, personally. Just because of the fact that a lot of people who are on Instagram, for example, don't go on Facebook. A lot of people who are on Facebook don't go on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, right? So.
Yeah, and that I agree. But I think, okay, well, here's a question I get a lot as we kind of delve into this. And this is, I think, what led to the issue, is a question a lot of bands ask me, and I'm sure a lot of bands ask you, is if I can only focus on one platform, what do I focus on?
Yeah, that's a tough one to say, right? Because you need to figure it out. There's usually between 2 to 4 members in a band, and between the 4 of you, there should be more than enough time to get the platforms covered. Just put someone in charge of it and just do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's something. Go ahead.
If you and I can do it, why can't a band with up to 4 or 5 members? You know what I mean?
I agree. This is something I talk about all the time.
Yeah.
That being said, I think that coordinating between band members has to be done very carefully.
Yeah.
I see a lot of bands who aren't really able to coordinate properly, which
Most can't.
Which is frustrating for, I think, all parties.
Which is why they need a manager to be an actual fact.
Pretty
or
much.
A designated in charge of the entire group instead of just having a bunch of 4 divas or 5 divas sitting around deciding stuff themselves.
But regardless, so how do you... Okay, but let's just, for the sake of argument, let's answer that question.
Okay.
I'm curious for your thoughts versus what I'm going to say.
Okay.
If a band says we are literally only going to work on one social media platform, what social media platform do you tell them?
Well, I try to talk them out of it, but if they're really, really, really insistent, I would say to them to pick the one that they feel the most comfortable with and go from there.
Okay.
It doesn't have a sharp learning curve for them. So if they're, like, for example, if that member that asks me that question hangs out all the time on Twitter, or they use their Twitter account the most, I'll tell them to use that. If they mainly use Instagram, I'll tell them to use that, or Facebook or whatever.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, or YouTube.
My viewpoint is, if you're only going to do one, focus exclusively on Instagram and then just upload all your big content to Facebook.
And I can see that viewpoint too. But I'm of the school that these are both valid viewpoints for sure. My own viewpoint is like, if you're already good at something, no sense in trying to learn something else right away. I mean, learn it, obviously, but
sure,
stick with your skills. Like, I mean, I don't know anything about how to or I didn't know anything at first about Instagram, and I'm slowly learning. I still don't know much about it, but I'm slowly learning, and but I'm putting the effort into it. But at the same time, I'm still focusing on my main platform, which is Twitter for me, right?
Right. And so I guess
that's my own personal thing, though, right?
Right. And I guess that kind of ties into so for me, I guess what the next question is you and I both know a ton of these bands who were very late to the Instagram game for whatever reason.
Yep.
What do you recommend they do?
They just got to start doing it. I mean, I was late too. I mean, I barely did anything on it until about February of this year, March. And the only reason why I started to was I actually saw something. I do a lot. I listen to a lot of podcasts and watch a lot of videos, like I said on a previous thing. I heard a guy called Hank Norman who has trained people like Grant Cardone and a lot of the other big speakers and stuff. He was a former TV producer with The View, I think it was, and he was talking about the way that he busted out. He can bust anybody out by getting them to do videos on Instagram and YouTube daily.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I could try that myself, and then I could export it to my clients once I master it myself. And so I've been trying it, and it's actually been really good for getting engagement. And then you started doing it shortly after I did, and it's been really, really good for engagement for both of us, I think.
Yeah, and it's gotten sales because it allows you to kind of build out your funnel.
It has, and I've got made a lot of connections from doing that. So, I mean, I used to think Instagram was stupid. I don't like going on camera. I absolutely detest going on camera. I don't know how you feel about it. I don't like it. It's uncomfortable. But when you do it, it sucks for me. But when you do it, you actually make connection with people. And I get all sorts of messages daily saying, thank you for helping, giving some advice on these different things. So I just keep doing it as a disciplinary action. So that way I keep getting myself out there. Right. So.
Yeah. And I think one of the issues that I see is a lot of people are uncomfortable being in front of the camera.
Well, you have to do it. Otherwise, you're never going to get comfortable.
Exactly.
You just have to. Like, I mean, I didn't want to do it, and I watched Hank's video, and I stewed on it for a few days, and then I rewatched it, and I was like, okay, well, worst case scenario, somebody makes fun of me. Who cares?
On the internet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, worst case. I mean, you don't know 99.9% of these people anyway, so
yeah.
Who cares? Best case scenario, you make a good connection, or worst case scenario, no one even pays attention. You get ignored.
Exactly.
There's no downside to it. I mean, unless you're like flashing yourself in front of the camera, there's really no downside to it.
Which is what my first few videos were. In case anyone of you are curious, go back.
He was doing it on the Playgirl channel.
Exactly. So, if any of you are curious about my origins. Okay, but is there a way in your experience to convert people who follow you on Facebook to your Instagram?
Sort of. I mean, I haven't really been trying to do that, so I'm probably not the best person to be asking about that because I post my daily videos on all the platforms. But I find, here's what I find is that I think if you really want to grow a certain platform, you really have to put the effort into it, if that makes sense. So you really, for example, if you really want to convert your Facebook people on Instagram, you're going to have to make posts talking about how you're on Instagram. You're going to have to share links to Instagram posts you made. You're going to have on other platforms, and you're going to have to follow a lot of people, and you have to comment to a lot of people too, and just make yourself known. I mean, there's no short way of doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, really, in order to get known, you have to talk to people and you have to interact with people. There's no other way of doing it. You can't just follow someone and expect, or just make an account rather and expect tomorrow you have 20,000 followers, right?
This is true. And I think that's something people expect is they don't realize that a lot of these bands who are making these sorts of moves, like I can tell, like the most successful underground band on Instagram is like High Reaper, for example. You know what I mean?
I couldn't hear what you said.
The most successful underground band on Instagram could be like High Reaper, for example.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're really good. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think that just happened, or do you think they fucking ground their fucking asses off for hours every day?
High Reaper, they grind their asses off. I know that person by personally talking to one of the band members. I know that as a fact.
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah,
You know,
that's for sure.
and ultimately, Facebook was a very easy platform to grow on because everyone was there.
Yeah.
You know, at this point, I think we need, to appreciate that Instagram. There's this weird, and I don't get it. Like, this bothers me, but like people are concerned about about maintaining their ratio
What do you mean, like their follower
to following.
Yeah.
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 I worry about that shit all the time.
Really? I don't.
And like that makes it hard to get followers.
Well, in my opinion, this is my own opinion, and may I speak before you go off?
Sure.
Well, here's my thought on it is like I wouldn't worry about that because the more it's the interactions you have versus the ratio. It really is. I mean, like it doesn't matter. I mean, but for example, if you have, I would only worry about that if you had something like 200,000 people you were you were following, and 199,000 people that were following you back, type of thing. But when you're in the smaller number, I mean, it really doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter.
Fair.
And I mean, you also don't want to be and the other thing too is a lot of times the accounts that just follow you back automatically, they're basically bot accounts. They don't interact anyway, so who gives a fuck? You know what I mean?
Yeah. No.
This is all unscientific, just purely my own experience and observations, right?
I'm trying to understand the human psychology of it, because that's sort of the big struggle.
Here's the thing: is I mean, the number of followers you have doesn't matter. Well, I mean, it matters, but but it doesn't at the same time. Because I mean, for example, I think I have 750 Instagram followers, but I get a crap ton of interaction. Tons. Yeah. I get more than people with many more followers than I do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the same thing with my Twitter. My Twitter, I have 1,500 followers, but I get a ton of interaction. Right? Facebook, I get a fair amount. I don't get tons, but I mean, I get, because I don't focus on it as much. But I get tons of interaction. Like, I'd rather have a ton of interactions and have people talking to me and dealing with me than having like all these followers that don't even do anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, one thing I do know too is that there's a lot of people, like even that make very, very, very good incomes off social media who do not have a high following, but it's because the quality of the interactions they have.
Yeah, is of sufficient level that people get interested, they buy in, and they go from there.
Yeah, like there's a time, like I mean, I know as a fact, I've seen several authors state that they make very good incomes. I'm not talking musicians right now because I'm going into a different space for a moment. Talk about how they have used their Twitter following or their Instagram following to make a very good income for themselves, even though they don't have a high follower amount in comparison to other accounts, right?
Yeah, but again, like we talk about all this and we talk about focusing on Instagram and making sure you're expanding in all the right places. Mm-hmm. But remember, to quote Gary Vee, when you're using social media, you're day trading for attention.
Yeah, exactly.
So if your Instagram following dips all of a sudden and something else comes up, go to that other thing as hard as fucking possible, because all that matters is looks and attention.
Exactly. I mean, that's the main thing we're after is attention. So, I mean, if you have 30,000 followers, but you're getting only attention from 10 of them, you're doing something wrong. But if you have like 1,000 followers and you're getting attention from 800 of them, you're doing something right, is my opinion. You know what I mean?
Unless, of course, those 10 followers are all giving you.
If they give you 1 million each, sure, that's different. That's a different talk. But you know what I mean?
Broadly speaking,
as a general rule.
Yeah. So I guess the sort of the final point we want to go into with this episode is just, how do you make sure that you are that you are in the right format for you?
Are you getting engagement? Are you getting people talking to you? Are you talking to people? That would be my criteria. What's yours?
I would agree. And I also think I honestly just like to look at where the young successful bands are going. You know,
Yeah.
like obviously a big part of my social media strategy will come from just like observing really big bands who have good social media, or even pop artists, you know?
Yeah.
But like, if you want to be successful, look at where fucking Post Malone is putting shit. Look at where Lil Pump is putting shit.
Yeah.
Those guys are getting traction, you know? Like, as much as you might not like mumble rap or whatever, those guys know how to use fucking social media, you know?
Yeah.
So take advantage of the people who know how to use social media and just borrow from them. Right now, all those mumble rap guys, Instagram, SoundCloud, YouTube. Who knows what it'll be tomorrow?
Exactly. Well, there's another point to be made in all this too, is that it doesn't matter what you like, it's what your market likes and what people are buying and what people actually do versus what they say. Like, for example, like you said, like even if you don't like the rappers you just mentioned, I'm not familiar with them, but they're getting all this attention, you might want to look at what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, and a lot of people will even tell, like, here's another good example is I think you should look to some of the bigger bands, like even bands like Five Finger Death Punch and stuff, who are popular, to see what they're doing.
Oh, for sure.
You know, like a lot of people go, oh, Five Finger Death Punch sucks. Well, okay, you don't like them. I don't really like them. You know, Nickelback sucks, or whoever it is, right? But they got big for a reason, you know what I mean? And you can go off about lowest common denominator or whatever, but if you're looking to make a career out of what you're doing, you have to be looking at what people are actually wanting. Because a lot of people will say, you know, I hate Nickelback, but yet how many albums have they sold worldwide? Like 100 million or something?
Yeah, exactly.
Yet they're the most maligned group on the planet from pretty much everywhere you go, but people are buying their albums. You know, so they're doing something right. So you might want to look at what they're doing.
Yeah, but
Even if you don't like
I know the guy who signed Nickelback. And
Yeah.
he signed them because he knew he would sell 1 million records, which funded all his other little projects.
Exactly. That's how labels operate. They want to sign the bands that are going to be making the money, and if what's making the money is Nickelback or I don't know, whoever the big name pop star is right now, Beyonce or whatever, you know, that's what they want. That's what people are buying, right? So
Beyonce was possibly the most dated reference you could make, buddy.
well, I don't know. She was the first thing that popped in my head for pop star.
Okay, I'm sorry that you had to get a fucking member of Destiny's Child.
Well, I can't think of any pop stars off the top of my head, okay?
Okay, I'm sorry.
I don't know.
Curtis is old and out of touch is what I'm trying to make.
If I was that old and out of touch, I would have said Madonna.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson. There you go. Now I'm old and out of touch.
Anyway, as we hurtle towards the end of another chaotic episode of Dumb and Dumbest, I guess the point I'm trying to make here is that day trade in attention. Realize where the people are, and realize not who you want your fans to be, but who your fans are. Like I know a lot of stoner rock bands who are trying to cross over into mainstream rock, and you can't alienate your base. You have to expand on your base, like Baroness or Mastodon did.
That is a very, very, very good point.
And you have, or even Code Orange, like still, like at least for the next 2 albums, Code Orange are going to have hella beatdown songs before they can fully embrace nu metal, I think.
Right? Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
They might be moving faster than I expect. Like, again, I saw Code Orange like in basements like 2 years ago. Like 24 months basically happened between me seeing Code Orange in like the Meat Locker and Code Orange getting a Grammy nomination.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of them, but they're doing something right. They're definitely doing something right.
Like, and then I didn't really live in America before this happened, but like I have buddies who went from seeing modern baseball play house shows to fucking 3,000 person rooms. I got to see modern baseball play house shows just because I was part of that scene and it was a secret show. But like broadly speaking, you get what I'm saying. You know, these things move quickly if you master social media and you day trade in attention.
Yep. One good book that I would highly recommend that people read, well, 2 good books I would recommend that just kind of go along with this, that can kind of go about getting the attention and stuff is...
Can I predict what they are?
Let me hear what you're going to say.
Okay, I think the 2 best books for understanding social media.
Yeah. I'm talking about attention in general, but go ahead.
I know. These are the 2 best books for how to understand social media. Both of them came well before social media. The Prince by Machiavelli, How to Win Friends and Influence People. 2 most.
I wasn't going to mention either one of those. I hate how to win friends and influence people personally, but we want to hear mine?
All I'm saying, Curtis, is who posts more selfies with cool people. But what are
Fine.
yours?
Well, what I would say, Crush It by Gary V. Vaynerchuk. Excellent book.
Hell, Gary.
Yeah, excellent book. It is dated. I've mentioned this book in the past, but he basically will tell you how to interact with people on social media. But it's a great book, but dated, like I said, but there's tons and tons and tons of great information. I think you can get it for like $3 on Kindle nowadays. And the other one is the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. Both those are absolutely phenomenal for understanding social media.
Exactly.
And how to win friends and influence people, I wouldn't recommend, but Matt says he's done well with it. Right, Matt?
I've done very well with it.
You've done well with it, Matt? Is that right, Matt?
I've done, yeah, like 9.
Am I using names correctly, Matt?
Oh, my God. Curtis
doesn't Is it the sweetest sound, Matt?
Curtis doesn't understand Chapter 6 of How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Oh, I understand it, Matt. Did you know Charles Manson used that book to get his followers? I'm not even joking.
And he's really fucking good at it.
Yeah. But I'm just saying Charles Manson started a cult with it. I'm just saying, but whatever.
As we head toward the end, couple plugs. Follow me on Instagram at MattBacon666. Follow Curtis on Instagram at dewarpr77. If you want literal goddamn free money for your band, email me, matt@dropoutmedia.net. We're doing t-shirt fulfillment. It's open to all bands for a very limited time. Then we're going to have to start making sales quotas and shit. But if you sign up now, you get literal goddamn free money.
Isn't there a social media group we're trying to push right now too, Matt?
And that's something else. Curtis, do you want to share?
Sure. It's not really my social media group. It's more Matt's, but I'm helping him with it. It's the Dropout Social group. You can request an invite by going and searching in Facebook for Dropout Social. You request an invite, and one of the two of us will accept you into the group. And we do a daily marketing challenge. This week, we're focusing on Twitter. So daily, you got to do something, and if you don't, you get called out publicly for it. So far, we've got 90% compliance with everything, and I think everybody. Are you learning anything from this so far, Matt? Or are you not liking it?
I'm learning things. I think it's productive. I think people are having good interactions and growing together and enhancing and expanding, and everything seems to be going well. So I'm rocking and rolling with it.
Well, this week it's going to be Twitter. Next week I'll figure out what we're going to focus on. But if you want to be part of this, you can join the group and you can catch up. We're on day number 4 or 5 now, I think.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my plug.
And you'll also see special advanced videos from both me and Mr. Doer.
If I ever post a video there like I'm supposed to.
If you ever do post a video like you're supposed to.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you guys so much for listening. I was actually recommended by one of my marketing buddies for our new tagline. It was something I just kind of spat out when I was, blathering into the fucking mic. But let me pull up what he said the tagline should be. Yes.
Sure.
This is the podcast for how to not suck at marketing your band.
I like it. Who came up with that? Are you allowed to say?
I think I said that, and he said I should make it the tagline.
So who came up with that? Oh, it was you that said it. Okay.
Okay, from the mouth of babes comes wisdom, and yet before you, Curtis, it's pearls cast before swine.
Well, all right.
For those curious, I've read the Bible 9 times.
I read it once. That was like years and years ago, but whatever.
Anyway, don't let these be pearls before swine.
Nope.
This is how not to suck at marketing your band. Dumb and Dumbest. Episode 8. We're trying to be daily. It probably won't be daily this week because I'm going to Psycho Las Vegas. Also, if you're at Psycho Las Vegas, come hang out with me. We'll talk about stuff and feelings. And make good choices. Any final points, Curtis?
Nope, I won't be at Psycho Las Vegas, though, so don't try to find me. Just hit up Matt and join the group, like I said. And, yeah, that's it.
Perfect. Thank you guys for listening.
We done yet?